Howdy, folks. Like he said, I'm Yuri Victor, at Yuri Victor on Twitter, and I like to build cool stuff. And I do that at Vox Media, and if you're not familiar with Vox Media, we are a tech-driven media company that owns a lot of different verticals, The Verge, SB Nation, and what I mostly work on, which is Vox. And today I want to talk to you a little bit about everything wrong with newsroom development in one chart. And I don't know if you've ever been in development process in the newsroom, but this is a little bit what it looks like. First, somebody has an idea, right? And so they're really excited about their idea. So then they go and they talk to their editor and they say, I've got this really great idea. I want to build a taco app. I hear people love tacos. So then they have a meeting and they get all these people in a room and they say, wow, we're going to need to talk to other departments. So they get all these other departments involved and they say, wow, this is really complicated. We're going to need a committee. So then now that you have a committee, you're going to need a committee manager because there's so many meetings. Somebody has to control all of this. And the departments say, well, we want managers because I'm an editor and I don't want to go to these meetings. So now you have 4 managers and a committee. And we get the first version and it's a triangle. It's not quite what we wanted. So then everybody's yelling at everybody. Ads is like, peace, I'm out. And so finally somebody, they go and they talk to ads and they're like, we're going to call it the pyramid. And they're like, we love that scheme. And then they go and they get IT because somebody's actually going to have to develop this. And they're like, why weren't we contacted earlier? And they also need their own manager. So you get an even larger layer of management. And they're like, you have no idea what you're doing. So then we add a committee on top of that. IT's like, we're taking this whole project over. And now we get this new version that might be a sandwich. It might be a taco. I'm not really sure. So then everybody's like yelling at everybody else. Nobody has any idea what's going on. We add another manager because this is all out of control. Somebody finally contacts the developer and says, oh my gosh, we have to build this. It's been 6 months and we still haven't gotten anything built. Developer comes in crying because they have 3 binders worth of meeting notes and project requirements. And they go and they talk to the designer. And the designer gives them a Dropbox folder that maxes out their Dropbox account because it's 2 gigs of PSDs. And so they're just like crying and they're coffee, cigarette, coffee, cigarette, coffee, cigarette. And they have like 2 weeks left to actually launch this product. And finally somebody says, I have an idea. We should form a committee to solve this. So then finally they go back to the original person who's like, I want a taco app. And they're like, well, we couldn't give you a taco app. I know it's been a year and you might have forgotten about this, but we gave you a red square. And it's going to go on the bottom right-hand rail. And ads dropped out, so we couldn't sell it. And we just have to say sorry. And so as a designer, what I actually do is I go and I try to find the pain. So I can actually talk to people and say, hey, you were really excited about this idea. What happened? Where did we find the errors? And so we actually go through and can map this and see, oh, here's where we had a problem. And then we can try to find a solution to that problem. And so this actually, I started thinking about this about a year ago. I started getting these DMs and these Facebook messages from designers and developers in newsrooms saying, I got in this because I wanted to make a difference. And, I think that's like there's a school out there that tells them, don't go work for the tech companies in Silicon Valley. Don't go work for the design agency. Come work for us where you actually get to make a difference. And they can't because of all of the chaos. So as a designer, I went and I talked to people. I went and talked to reporters and editors and all of these really great people, all of these different places. And I found out that it's not like somebody's actively trying to sabotage these people and trying to force them out. It's actually just that we have really, really bad habits. And they've grown over time. And this is how we've always done things. We always use the software and we always did this. And so that's how we keep doing it. And so I talked to all of these people and I got all of these ideas from them and then tried to find solutions. So when Melissa and Ezra were talking about starting their own media company, I came to them and I said, hey, I have some ideas how we can organize a newsroom. And they're like, we love this idea. These are all fantastic. And then they end up going to Vox Media, and Vox Media is like, yeah, we already do all that. I was like, oh, well, okay, this sounds like an awesome place. If my ideas work, this will be really, really fun. So I want to talk about how newsrooms should build products or how we build products at Vox. First, you have to actually talk to people. And so I went and talked to all these people, and I'm going to show you some of what they said. And people are like, we talk all the time. We're in meetings all the time. We have emails all the time. We're in constant communication. And it's like, no, 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 no. Not that kind of talking. Actually sitting people down and talking to them about, what are your impediments? What can I help with? Are you reaching your goals? Is there something blocking you? Are you happy here? And they say, yeah, we got that. We have a yearly review. HR handles it. It's this really crappy web form where you have to have like Internet Explorer 6 and Real Media Player 7. And it's like, yeah, we get that. And it's like, no, you have to talk all of the time to these people, constantly be following up. And the thing is, we people, we're really bad about our feelings and emotions and actually communicating them in the office. Like, we don't actually go and say, this was the worst week of my life. I hate this place. This is actually horrible. Why am I here? until it's too late. And we just see these people leave, and then nothing ever gets fixed at the organization. And that's what happened with these people, is you'll see these developers and designers that were sending me messages, and they'll put out an angry tweet like, journalism sucks. And then they'll like go and put a blog post on like Medium about journalism is doomed. And then they disappear. And they leave journalism, and we've hurt these people, and we lost this really valuable resource. So how do we like start to solve that? Well, one of these complaints, and this was everyone I talked to, every single person I talked to had the same complaints. There's too many meetings, too much media emails, and I have no idea what's going on, which is a really interesting juxtaposition, right? So we need to communicate smarter. And the problem with meetings and emails is that they're very one-sided, right? So if you're not in that meeting or you're not in like on that email chain, it's really hard to actually know what's going on. And so what ends up happening is if you miss the meeting, somebody's like, if they're lucky, somebody had taken notes. And so what you do is you get another email talking about the notes, or you get CC'd 50 threads in. They're like, we forgot to include Yuri. I hope you can follow up. And it's 50 emails deep, and they keep responding. And I'm like, I have no idea what's going on. Coffee, cigarette, coffee, cigarette. So what we do is we get everybody on chat rooms. So we have an internal program called Slack. There's HipChat. There's IRC used by WordPress. And people don't believe me when I say this, but when we switched at the Washington Post, I stopped getting both emails and having meetings. And we have this at Vox. We have very few of either of those. But the only thing we ever get emails are they're really crazy about happy birthdays and like new hires. I'll get like 50 emails, but that's the only time I ever get emails. And one of the things that this also solves is that when I talk to a lot of people in like development and design departments, they say, people keep coming to us and saying, you go do this, you go do this, you go do this. And it's like, I have ideas too that I want to do. I have ideas. I got into journalism because I wanted to do these things. And chat actually is really great because it democratizes the process. Everybody can contribute, and everybody can actually say, hey, this is what I think. And so a lot of times people from other like departments will jump into one of our rooms and say, hi, I heard you're working on this really cool idea. I also have a cool idea. Did you think about this? And the whole process gets better. We get more ideas, and we can all kind of communicate together and all actually know what's going on. And actually, you should have meetings, but they should be 5 minutes. So we meet daily for 5 minutes, and it's not to like talk about these big grandiose things. What we do is we talk about what I did yesterday, what I'm going to do today, and what impediments I have. And what that does is that we can see the roadblocks, we can see the pain points every single day. So somebody comes in and they said, all yesterday I was in meetings. Well, we got a problem with that. And nobody's got me my assets, and I'm supposed to have like 500 emails that I got to reply to, and I haven't read any of them. And so that's what I'm going to do all day today. Those are impediments. And so we can actually see every day what's going on and try to fix them before they become a real problem. And we set small time frames. So we work in 40-hour periods, 1 week. And that's really easy to do because you can't really screw up a lot in a week. Some of us can, myself included. But it's a lot better than trying to work on a year-long project and break it up, and then you have to schedule the whole project, and then you have to have meetings about scheduling the product and meetings about creating meetings and all these other things. But this actually, 1 week, it's really easy to schedule. It's really easy to say, hey, this is what's going on. And then we follow up every 2 weeks. And there's another thing that I get from a lot of product managers. There's so many egos in the room, and the loudest voice wins. Whoever says, this is my idea, this is what's going to happen, that's the person who always gets the product thing. And it's not necessarily backed by data, it's not backed by anything. They're just the ones that win. So we got to get rid of egos. And the problem is, the egos, we do this to ourselves. How the newsrooms are set up in silos actually influence the egos. So you have somebody that's a department manager, like I'm in charge of design, and that person says, my team can't work on this because they're too busy, or my team's not going to do this, or my team is this. And so you're like, this crazy person is like telling you they can't do any of this stuff because of how the newsroom is set up. Their job is to protect their people, not to work on the product and make the product better. And so we actually do this to ourselves. And one of the big ones is there's the newsroom. We're the important ones. We know what's been going on. We've been doing this for 100 years. You product and design people, you don't know what's going on. So what we do is we move everyone to the newsroom. And not just a courtesy, we'll put them in the corner, build up a wall between them, not let them talk to anyone. No, we're all in the same chat rooms. We're all talking to each other. We actually can talk. Like I sit right in front of Ezra. I sit right next to Melissa. And then another one we get a lot especially from people that are lower on the chain, is I have no power to get the resources I need. If I actually want to get a developer to help me, you have to go and talk to the development manager, and you've got to go and do a presentation, and that's a whole hour-long meeting, and finally they say, sure, but you're going to have to go talk to so-and-so, and all of this just to get one developer. And then it's that developer's like, now I'm reporting to this, this new product manager, Yuri, and I'm reporting to this other person, and I still have to report to my other team, so I have no idea who I'm actually supposed to make happy. So we've got to rebuild our teams. And what we like a small multidiscipline team. So you take a developer, a designer, an editor, and you put them all together, and that way they don't have to go and get more resources. They should have all of the resources you need on your one team. And it builds trust, and you build confidence, and you start to have relationships within there, and those people start to work better together. And one of the great things about that is that we can all start to learn from each other. Like I always want to learn. There's this idea in journalism where once you hit management, you stop learning. And that shouldn't be that way. If you're a journalist, you shouldn't learn code, and you shouldn't learn design if you're a developer. But we all start to learn from each other through osmosis. We start to share the same language. Journalists might get better at choosing better photos, and a developer might choose better colors, and we all start to learn from each other. And it kind of looks like this. You have maybe 3 people on a team, somebody from content, somebody from advertising, somebody from product, and right in the middle of all of that is where the magic happens. And being a manager in a newsroom is one of the most, the hardest things you can possibly do, because you have a team of 10 real people, or 2 real people, or 3 real people, and each one of those people has 1 or 2 projects that they're working on. So not only are you in charge of all these projects, you're in charge of all of these people, and it's like, I have no idea how to make all of these people happy, because all of these projects have product managers they have to interface with, and it gets really, really, really scary. So we have to have support systems. And I talk to a lot of newsrooms, and I ask, do you have support systems? And sometimes they're like, yeah, we have QA, and that's in another building. And we have an R&D department, and they're not allowed to talk to the newsroom. And so we don't actually, none of this actually is valuable, because they're not actually there. When you value support, you get better support. And at Vox, we have tons and tons of support people. We have tons of support people for everything. If you need help booking a conference, if you, we have people, if you email support at Vox externally or internally for a bug or an idea, they'll take it and they'll bring it to me, or they'll bring it to our, deal with it team that just takes care of fixing bugs. And we all support each other that way. Because support is not one person, it's not one department, it's all of us supporting one another. And that's what I do. I support journalists by building tools that make their jobs easier. And I build tools for designers, I build tools for developers. And this is what it starts to look at, small, multidiscipline teams, designer, developer, content, advertising, all of these, all supporting one another. And that way, everyone supports another, and it's really hard to break that down. It's really hard to kind of dissolve that, because there's so many different layers. If I get sick, or if I have to take a day off, or somebody needs me, there's all of these people that are there to help. And this might not work. Every newsroom is different, right? Every newsroom is different. You're going to have different challenges. In a year, we could all be like, we're all in virtual reality now. But the real tricks to this is you kind of constantly asking questions. How can I help you? What are your impediments? What's going wrong? And then be changing. As all of these things change, we have to actually adapt them. So if you try something new, hey, we're going to take Yuri's wild and crazy ideas, and we're going to try them in our newsroom. And it's like, wow, maybe it didn't work. In 3 months, be willing to change. Because we're in a world of first, which is constantly changing. We were content first, and print first, and digital first, and mobile first, and tablet first, and virtual reality first, and Google Glass first. And we're in this constant world of first. But content evolves, and platforms evolve. People is the only thing for all of those that stay the same. And I really, really believe that the organizations that create a people-first environment are going to be the organizations that we're all going to want to go work for. So I want to talk a little bit, just a little personal story about my first day at Vox. I get in, I start getting all these chat requests from people, from all different departments, not just people I work with, but all different departments. People asking me, hey, you got 5 minutes? Jump on a Google Hangout, just talk really quick. It's like, sure, but it's really weird, because as developers, nobody talks to us. Nobody, other developers don't talk to other developers. Nobody talks to anyone. So my first day of Vox, I get all these messages. I say, sure, I jump on the call. I'm a little scared. I'm like, what's going on? Either somebody needs something, or they're going to yell at me. Did I screw something up? And they just sat back and they asked, most of the people asked the same question. How's your first day going? Is there anything that you need? Is there anything I can help you with? Did you get access to this? Did you know we get free beer on Thursdays? And is there anything I could do better, anything I can help you with to make your job easier? And these are people that followed up too. So now, anytime anybody new starts, I ask them, hey, do you got 5 minutes? How can I help you? What happened to those developers that disappeared from the industry is that they felt so alone in their organizations because they didn't have people supporting them, they didn't have people asking them, and so they burnt out alone. If we can start to support each other just by asking the simple question of how can I help, we can all spark together. I want to thank all the Vox people that have helped me the past 6 months. I've learned so much from them, I've grown through them, and I want to thank all of you. Because if we can do this at one organization where we build an organization where everyone supports each other, maybe we can all reach out to people at other organizations and ask, how can I help you? And build a whole better media world. Love you, peace. Yeah.